Good day everyone, I am Kenneth Arellano and we are the Group 4. In today's video project, we are about to present our sample case in IT202, Information Management, entitled as Vaccination Program System, which me and my team decided to create as a case. After all, one of the relevant topics that involve mass participation in strict schedule that comes in encoding information, receiving messages containing schedule and the time, and requires registration forms to be answered is none other than the COVID vaccination program. Why? As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has struck the whole world with tons of lives being ruined by this deadly virus, especially the increasing number of cases here in the Philippines, which our President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, insists all of the valid citizens to have themselves vaccinated in order to prevent the increasement of the virus in the country. He settled the mass vaccination program in every local government units across the country that prepared the protocol of the vaccination and the people involved to facilitate on this program. Our enterprise data modeling contains the list of high-level entities with corresponding definitions below. Medical aid. A medical aid is a person assigned to the specific task before and during the appointed vaccination for the scheduled dosage of each citizen on site. Appointment. An appointment is an arranged schedule that the medical staff will send to the citizens to inform them of their vaccination schedule. Citizen. A citizen is one who registered an appointment to take the vaccine. Vaccine. A vaccine is a substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases. Okay, now, knowing all the definitions and entities reveal their interconnection and their part in the vaccination process of our system, let's now move to the business rules.
Good day, I'm Clyde B. Perater, the second presenter of the team to discuss the business rule and ER diagram part of our case. But let us know first what a business rule is. A business rule is a rule, definitions, and instructions of every aspect of business or organization which resolves its condition whether the rule is either true or false, in order to perform and find the reasonable process of each aspect. In our case, the team has established a list of business rules. Let us know every rule that we have listed as a policy of our created system. The first business rule is one or more medical aid can handle at least one appointment. Conversely, each appointment can be handled by one or more medical aid. It is valid since each medical aid in a vaccination program can handle at least one appointment. After all, appointments are being handled to each citizen by an LGU facilitator who is in charge of messaging the registered people who have an appointment on their specific dosage of vaccine. The second business rule is an appointment is scheduled by at least one citizen. Conversely, each citizen can schedule only one appointment. It is true that every citizen can only have one appointment scheduled on their vaccination because every appointment has a different registration number. Even though there are a lot of people in the vaccination sites with the same schedule of appointment, still, there can only be one registration number for each appointment of every citizen to identify themselves uniquely. The third business rule is each citizen obtains only one type of vaccine. Conversely, a vaccine is obtained by one or more citizens. It is validated because each citizen can only get one dosage of a specific type of vaccine because the instructions of taking the vaccine for every person happens only twice and it is divided into two separate dosages. Meaning to say, one dosage in every citizen happens only once on a site. The fourth and last business rule is each vaccine is administered by at least one medical aid. Conversely, one or more medical aid administers at least one vaccine. It is also valid business rule, since the medical aid supplies the vaccine provided for the cost of vaccination program. Because without the supplies of vaccines coming from the LGU, there will be no vaccination program happening. Okay, now that we have our business rule, we have now moved on to the entity relationship diagram. Here is our ER diagram, or the entity relationship diagram. An ER diagram is a diagram that illustrates the relationship of each entity using the following supposed business rule labeled in every crow's foot in the diagram. You can figure the relationship of business rule as diagram. That's all about ER diagram. Now let's move on into the next presenter.
Hello, good day. I'm Steven, and I'm about to discuss the EERD, or the Enhanced Entity Relationship Diagram, and the Relational Schema or case. To start up, let us define first the Enhanced Entity Relationship Diagram. The Enhanced Entity Relationship Diagram is the enhanced version of the previous presented diagram, the ERD, which lists the presence of primary keys, attributes, and other types of attributes of each entity. Let's define every content of each entity in EER diagram. The first one is primary key. A primary key is a column or a group and its essential part of the entity that uniquely identifies every row in the table. The second one is foreign key. A foreign key is a column that creates a relationship between two tables. The purpose of foreign keys is to maintaining data integrity and allow navigation between two different instances of an entity. The last one is attributes. Attributes are the describing characteristics or properties that define all items pertaining to a certain category applied to all cells of an entity. Now that we have already defined each element, let us now identify each of it in our EER diagram. As you can see, all the bolded text underlined with an initial of P and K beside is the primary key. In the table, our primary keys are the employed ID, the registration number, the citizen ID, and the lot ID. Meanwhile, attributes are identified as the unbolded text in the diagram, which are listed below the primary key. As you can see, some example of an attributes here in our diagram are the following: F name, first name, M name, S name, date, time, location, and birthday. But notice in our diagram, we have acquired some multi-valued and composite attributes, which in fact, they are types of attributes. Let us define each of them. Multi-valued attributes is an attribute that has more than one value with the primary key of the entity, while composite attributes is an attribute that can be divided further into more than one attribute. You can identify a multi-valued attributes by checking the attributes if they are inside a curly brace parenthesis, just like our attributes position, dosage, and manufacturer. While the composite attributes is the one with the parenthesis containing the sub-attributes of attribute address. Next up is the relational schema. A relational schema defines the design and structure of the relation, consisting the relational name set of attributes, field names, entity tables. A very quite similar contents of an EERD but difference in terms of the presence of a relational between tables. Because relations are they represent the data of a related primary key to another table, as long as the specific key to be included in the table is necessarily needed a foreign key. Notice in our diagram, the added primary keys with broken lines are identified as foreign keys, which as you can see are in the entity's appointment, citizen, and vaccine, which they are related each other as a parent and child relations. Also are multi-valued attributes. Position, dosage, and manufacturer has a schema of themselves since they have more than one value related to their parent entity. This is why multi-valued attributes are being separated from the parent schema. While our composite attribute address list all its attributes in the citizen schema. After all, composite attributes has sub-attributes. Now, that we have already discussed the ARD or the Enhanced Entity Relationship Diagram in the relational schema, let us go now to the Microsoft Access.
Good day and mabuhay. I am Gerome A. Tayao, the fourth member of Group 4, and I will discuss the DBMS we used to create this project. In this part of the project, we applied all the ideas, theories, and concepts we have gained from the previous steps, such as the project description, enterprise data modeling, business rule, ERD, EARD, and relational schema. First, what is DBMS? A database management system, or DBMS, is a software package that allows user to design, create, access, maintain, manipulate, and retrieve data and information. It is a software system that uses standard cataloging, retrieving, and running queries on data. The DBMS manages incoming data, organizes it, and provides ways to modify or extract the data by users or other programs. The DBMS used in this project is Microsoft Access. Microsoft Access is a database management system from Microsoft that combines the relational access database engine with a graphical user interface and software development tools. Access is an easy-to-use tool for creating business application from templates or scratch. With its rich and intuitive design tools, Access can help us create appealing and highly functional applications in a minimal amount of time. At this juncture, let us now proceed to the presentation of our database. In the Objects Navigation pane, on the left side, here, we can see all the tables and names of each entity. I will further discuss this part of the program later. But first, I will show you the relationships in this database. As we can observe, the four entities from our business rule are present in this database: the medical aid, the appointment, the citizen, and the vaccine. We can also see the connections or relations from our ERD. We have a mandatory many-to-many relationship between medical aid and appointment, mandatory one-to-mandatory many between appointment and citizen, mandatory one-to-mandatory many also for the vaccine and citizen, and between the medical aid and vaccine, we have mandatory many to mandatory many. From our relational schema, we added new table for multi-valued attribute. So we have here the medical aid position, the appointment dosage, and vaccine manufacturer. In each table, we can see the attributes that are also explained in our EERD. For the medical aid, we can see here the employee ID, the first name, the middle name, and the surname of the employee. Most of the data type here are in short text. And for the primary keys, we restrict the field size into 10, while 30 for short text. If the short text needs more characters, we declare a field size of 150. For the medical aid position, we have employee ID and the position, which can be vaccinator, doctor, or encoder. For the appointment, we have the registration number, the date, the time, the location, and the employee ID of the vaccinator. So for the date, we have date and time data type, and date and time data type as well for the time. For the appointment dosage, we have first dose and second dose. For the citizen, we have the citizen ID, the first name, the middle name, the surname, the birthday, the street number, the street name, barangay, town, province, registration number, and lot number of the vaccine. For the vaccine, we have the lot number and the employee ID who handles the vaccine. That's all for my report, and blessed be God forever.
Hello, good day everyone. My name is Bautista from Group 4, and I will be the fifth presenter to continue and explain the part of why the data inputted and information is necessary in our Microsoft Access project. I am not going to discuss entirely every information of each entity because it will take a lot of time to point out. Instead, I'm just going to explain the part that only concerns the most necessary means of our proposed system, which is the citizen. Why? Because among all of these entities, what outstands the logic of our system is the importance of informations. Here in the citizen table, they are the ones who fills up the forms and the one necessary to take the program. Their citizen ID, personal info, birthday, and so on. All of it came from there. For a cause of why are they doing it in the first place? For their vaccination. If these registration forms are important, makes them as the citizen registered for the vaccination important as well, which made this system possible. Just like this vaccination card, which composes the record of the citizen, like me, who took the vaccination in order for me to get vaccinated. After all, that will be the endpoint of this process. A person registered to get an appointment for the vaccine, which will be provided in record by the medical aid or the LGU. As simple as that. That is why my team gave this management system as a project case for our video project, because the data inputting was organized and it is one of the relevant process that manages properly important information and records of people, making it a beneficiary in every element of this proposed project, the citizen. That's all for my part. Thank you very much. Let's now proceed to the last part of our video project, the query. And again, thank you very much.
Good day everyone! For the last part of our video project, I am Socorro Burabod, the 6th member of Group 4, and I will present the query in Microsoft Access. Let us first define what is query. Query is an access object used to view, analyze, or modify data. The query design determines the fields and records you see and the sort order. To do the query, select Create, then click Query Design, and then OK. Drag all the table that contains the field that needs to be present and the available fields you want to select fields and select Next. For example, in our project, we will drag the table of medical aid, citizen, appointment, and appointment dosage. In the lower part, we will select for the table what we want to be output. Here, we decide to select the citizen. Next, select first name, middle name, and surname. Next is we will select the appointment and click date, time, and location. And after that, we will click the run so we can now see the table of the output. So here is the output of the query in our project. And just like when we want to be vaccinated, we need to wait for the message or confirmation in our LGUs. In that message, we will see when our appointment for vaccination will happen and where it is. You can also modify what you want to see in the output. It is up to you.
That's all for our report.
Thanks for
watching!